What's going on, everyone? So Austin Reaves last year took the league by storm, right? Towards that back half of the season, LeBron ended up being out, and he really stepped up huge for the Lakers. Really blossomed and evolved, and just continued that throughout the course of the season into the playoffs. He did have that rough stretch of games, like 2 or 3 games in the Golden State series. Bounced right back, and then was arguably our most consistent player in the Denver Nuggets series. Then it's like, okay, now he got through that season. Is he going to be able to replicate that next season? Was this just a sort of run that we've seen? Linsanity. We've seen, Tyreek Evans go on like crazy runs. We've seen many players have insane runs, equal to, if not greater than what Austin Reaves has gone through, and just never be able to replicate that. It was a real question in the offseason. Paul George even talked about, hey, once you're on that scouting report, everything changes. Once you're on and you're circled on that whiteboard for the defense, then all of a sudden things change. And he really kind of broke that down in one of his podcasts, basically saying how, when he was just another guy, he could get 20 regularly. It was easy. He could just show up and he basically got 20 points. Then he was on the scouting report and it became very difficult, and he had to kind of navigate and figure it out and end up becoming the guy that he was. Now, I'm not saying that Austin Reaves will be Paul George, but it is a nice kind of insight of how things can change when defenses are knowing all your moves or scouting you, know where your spots are, right? Everything changes when that happens. Then we go to Team USA. Many people were just furious that Austin Reaves was even a part of Team USA. Many people just chalked it up to, it's just because he's a Laker. It's just because he's hyped right now. And no, he ended up being by every metric, was their best player. Now, Anthony Edwards was their best player, but he was their most efficient, most effective. He was basically what he was for the Lakers for Team USA. And then fast forward to this season, and he just hasn't been that guy. He has in spots, right? You look at a game like the Houston game last night. This was Reaves in many ways, right? 5 of 7 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3, 17 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, just a bit of a do-everything guy. Took care of the basketball, only had 2 turnovers, ended up being a +9. Those are the games that Austin Reaves we were counting on, we were relying on. And he hasn't been able to consistently put those games together enough to where he's showing the impact. And he has struggled, right? Playing point guard role more. It's been a big issue for Reaves. Reaves all offseason talked about how he wanted more on-ball duties, how he wanted to be the point guard more. And the Lakers said, okay, yeah, we oblige, right? We want him to be on the ball more. We want him to have those opportunities for a point guard, especially if D'Angelo Russell ends up getting traded. You're going to need another ball handler to kind of make plays and do things for others. And Austin Reaves, in the idea, in theory, would have been a great situation to kind of just plug in, a player to plug in, right? But he hasn't been a good just facilitator and point guard. Yes, he's getting, 4 to 6 assists on a night, but there's a big difference between getting assists and actually making plays for others. You have a guy wide open in the corner, and I kick it to that guy, and he hits the shot. That's a much easier assist than it is if I'm navigating the defense, I'm finding the cutter, or I'm operating in a pick and roll, or I'm running sets and getting guys in position, right? There's a big difference. Most guys can make plays. You see guys like Zach LaVine, right? Because he's in the news, right? Or a Paul George, or guys like that they'll go get 5 assists a game, right? But they're not point guards. Right? They're guys that are capable of making plays. They're guys that are capable of finding the open man, but they're not, dissecting the defense and really finding the best shot available. They don't have their head on a swivel like a Chris Paul. Great example is watch D'Lo, watch Austin Reaves. Austin Reaves, at times when he'll drive, he has tunnel vision. There could be a guy wide open by the basket, and he's taking that mid-range contested shot. Where D'Lo always constantly have his head on a swivel. Right? You see it all the time. He'll be, attacking the defense. He'll get to a point where he has a shot and pass it, down to the cutting man. And nobody else saw that but him. Right? LeBron. Watch LeBron when he's making plays. The Houston game was a great example. He had a stretch where he had like 3 or 4 straight assists to like 2 of them were to Rui and then one was to Cam Reddish. Again, he has his head on his swivel. He sees the whole court, where Austin Reaves doesn't really do that at times. And he hasn't found that balance of, okay, I'm going to look to be aggressive and score here, but if I find a better opportunity and I find a better player in my action, then I will hit that open man and get the better volume shot, right? Guys like D'Lo, guys like LeBron, you see those guys do that on this team. Reaves hasn't found that balance yet. And we need him to find that balance if he's going to run that unit, right? Yesterday, we saw the unit where you had what? You had like Austin Reaves, I think it was Taurean Prince, Cam Reddish, Rui. Oh no, it was Austin Reaves, Cam Reddish, Rui, Jackson Hayes, and Christian Wood. That was the 5. If I'm remembering correctly. So you had that 5 out there, and D'Lo was the point guard. D'Lo wasn't getting guys in position. Everyone was just kind of standing around and watching watching Reaves do his thing, right? Reaves was just out there dribbling rather than getting guys in their spots. Hey, I need you over here, calling plays, getting guys in position, having movements, causing action, right? You see LeBron. Hey, I need you over here. I need you over there. You get here. You do this. You cut. D'Lo will do the same thing. Hey, go. You, number 3. You see the communication and you see them orchestrating the offense. Reaves, you saw him just dribble late into the shot clock and then kicking out to a Rui or a Wood or whatever on bailout shots. We got a lot of those yesterday. Reaves ended up hitting a couple. LeBron hit a couple. He's got to do a better job of navigating the point guard position. Right now, he is not a point guard. Right now, he is a shooting guard that is capable of making plays and finding the open man. Big difference. Another big thing that I think Reaves is feeling the impact on is the fact that he is on the scouting report, right? I think it's 2 kind of big things and then 1 huge thing. So we'll dive into the scouting report thing. Again, last season, Austin Reaves was an afterthought. Nobody was even thinking of, we got to shut down and we got to try to stop Austin Reaves. There wasn't the tape on just his favorite moves and the way he likes to get into spots and all of that. Like, what's his favorite? Teams didn't really know how to respond to him. So he was able to much more effectively get to X, Y, and Z spot and then have that impact, find his shot, and hit the shot. Which also, little side thing, is he's just not hitting shots. I don't think that that's as huge of a deal. Obviously, it's a big deal, but I don't think it's as big as the other 3 points that I'm going to talk about, just because I do believe Austin Reaves is a good enough shooter. His shot will come around at some point, whether it's, just a week from now, a day from now. Sooner or later, he's going to find his rhythm. And so I'm not as concerned with the shots, at least for now. Maybe if it continues to be a thing, maybe we'll talk about it later on. But right now, I trust that his shot will fall and he'll get those opportunities. But again, when you're on the scouting report now, teams are really focused on, okay, don't let him get here. He doesn't like to go left, force him left, or he doesn't like to do this, go force him this. You start seeing all the little details of the defense to try to cut him off from spots, to contest all of his shots, right? He struggles shooting over 2 guys rather than 1 guy. So throw extra body at him when he gathers, right? Whatever, right? All of those little things have an impact on a player that a player has to figure out and play through, right? And I do think Reaves can play through that, but it's going to be a sort of trial period, right? There's going to be a little trial and error period, which he's in right now. Another big thing is the rule changes, right? So the NBA is trying to get away from allowing guys to create and initiate the contact and get the easy whistle. Also, the NBA is trying to get away from guys just kind of flopping and selling a call. And Reaves was really good at that last year, right? He was very Harden-esque in many ways. And a lot of his points came from the free throw line. When he was failing to hit shots, he was able to create contact to get to the foul line, to then get into rhythm, to then all of a sudden he knocked down his shots. Like there were many games last year where you'd see Reaves, he'd miss his first like 3 shots. And so what he would do is like just drive, create the contact, look for the foul, get the foul, get to the foul line, knock both free throws down, and then he would open up and all of a sudden everything else would start clicking. Well, one, he's also not hitting those shots, so it's hard to kind of like create the contact, get to the foul line when you're missing free throws, for one. And another thing is that now the NBA is a lot more tight whistled, right? If Reaves goes and creates that contact and initiates that contact and is looking for the foul, they're not going to call it. And you still see Reaves at times try to do that. He'll drive looking for the foul rather than looking to make the shot. And then if you get fouled, you get fouled, right? So there's a lot of times where he's just kind of throwing stuff up because he initiated the contact. He thinks a whistle's coming. He'll chuck it up. It's a bad shot. And, it's short or it's long or whatever. And he doesn't get the whistle. And now they're down on the other court. Or watch how many times he hits the ground, right? He's hitting the ground because he's expecting a whistle because he got the whistle last year. And he's not getting it this year. It's something I talked about in the offseason, that I had concerns that would be an issue for Reaves, that Reaves would have to play through that and figure that out. Again, I believe he will eventually, but we need him to figure that out sooner rather than later. And to me, it's as simple as stop trying to purposely create contact. You're going to get contact throughout the course of the game regardless if you're being aggressive and you're attacking. Right? If you get to your spots and you look to make the shot, you're going to just naturally create contact, especially if you're cooking. Right? If you're cooking, teams are going to throw extra bodies at you. They're going to try. So now you can be crafty, high IQ Austin Reaves that you are to now draw said contact. I think that's another big issue, right? And then lastly, the thing that I think is the biggest issue is Austin Reaves isn't just out there playing, right? So you look at Reaves last year. There was nothing for him as far as pressure or expectations or money or anything, right? He was just out there hooping. He was just out there playing. There was no, I have to do X, Y, and Z. I mean, if he had a bad game, no one cared. If he dropped 17, people were losing their minds. Reaves is back. Reaves is this. Blah, blah, blah. Right? The bar was so low that if he gave you 15, we were pumped and excited. Oh, here comes the Reaves train, right? Because no one expected him to be what he turned out to be towards the back half of the season. So there was no pressure. There was no expectations. He was just out there hooping. He was just out there playing the game of basketball and wheeling and dealing and letting the game come to him. This season, I don't believe he is. This season, just by watching the way that and I've watched every game thus far, every game I have seen one common denominator, and he's trying to force the issue too hard, right? The shot selection isn't what it was. He's over dribbling, as I mentioned. He is looking to try to draw that same contact as last year. He's trying to replicate what he did last season. But I feel like he's failing to realize that the way you replicate what you did last season is you just go out and play. Again, look at the games in which he had success. He was taking good shots. He was being decisive. He was getting to his spots and looking to make those baskets. He does that in the fourth, but he doesn't do it so much later in games. So he's been good down towards the end of games. And I feel like that's because he is just kind of out there going, right? Kind of turns his brain off. LeBron is just taking over, doing what he's going to do. And then Reaves is kind of just has the freedom to do whatever he wants. And I don't know if it's that fourth quarter mindset. Okay, we got to lock in. Okay, I need to go and really find my spot. Enough of the fouls, enough of this, enough of that. Let me go and just hit some shots. That could be it. But like I said, it's not every fourth quarter, but usually when he's having a good fourth quarter, he's playing more loose. He's playing more free. He's not just chucking up shots, right? Like, yeah, he'll kind of over dribble still at times, but he's still getting to his spots, right? And he's taking what the defense will give him. And he's really got to, again, kind of relax, take a breath, let things unfold. He's good enough to where he's going to get what he wants. That is we have seen that. We have seen defenses just throw the kitchen sink at him, and he's still been able to go get what he wants. I just don't believe he is fully playing the game of basketball. I think he is forcing himself to play the game of basketball, and thus it is hurting his overall production. He's not being consistent because he's not taking the higher quality shot. He's not taking the good shot. He's also not hitting shots, don't get me wrong, but he's trying to force the issue rather than just going and scoring and doing what he does best. Where last year, that's what he did. He knew, oh, I can go get a bucket. Let me go get this bucket, right? Like, oh, you ain't going to stop me. Like, throw the second guy, stop, right? And he was just getting to his spot. It's one of those things. It's something like, I think Linsanity's explosion was just crazy, but it was very similar, right? Linsanity, when you saw Jeremy Lin out there and that first Knicks run, he was just playing. He was free. He wasn't overthinking things. He wasn't doing anything. There was even a documentary about it, and Jeremy Lin basically said the same thing, right? I had nothing to lose. There was no pressure. There was no nothing. I was just out there hooping. And once the reality set in and pressure kicked in and everything became what it was, all of a sudden he was never the same player. He was never able to replicate that. And he started overthinking things. He started taking poor shots, and he started trying to be this guy that he thought he could live up to and was never able to fully live up to it, right? And eventually he was out the league. Now, Reaves, I think he is a high IQ guy. I do think he will eventually come to the conclusion. I think having LeBron will help, because I'm sure LeBron's in his ear saying a lot of the same stuff like, hey, man, just play your game, dude. Just go out there and be Austin Reaves. Stop trying to force the issue. Stop thinking you have to do something. He doesn't have to do anything. He's the third, fourth, fifth guy. He's not the number one guy. He's not the number two guy. He's out there as a key piece. Play as such. There is no pressure, right? I mean, look, the fans might go, oh, Reaves, he has to get whatever. But there is no pressure. You're not the guy. At the end of the day, the game doesn't win or lose because of you. But you can make a big enough impact to win a game. You can also make a big enough impact to lose a game. But you're not the sole guy that that the Lakers are relying on to go and win games. So just play. Just do what you do best. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass a question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think that maybe it's something else? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. See you all in the next one. Thank you.